4 months ago, I turned $100 into $2,700. And to this day, as crazy as this might sound, I get asked every single day on how I did it. And that was 4 months ago. So today is a day where I'm going to give you the true story and explain to you how I turned $100 into $2,700 in 1 week trading Forex. And most importantly, I'm gonna teach you how I did it. The story's cool, but on how I did it is so you guys can do the same thing as well. So let's begin. So this all started with the $100 to the $1 million challenge. So if you guys haven't seen the series where I turned $100 into $1 million, or at least I tried, in 60 days, my first attempt on me doing this, I actually blew the account. So my first attempt at turning $100 into $1 million, obviously I had to scale up. I actually blew it on my first try. Account officially blown. It is what it is. I'm not gonna lie, I was super greedy. I was up almost $600 on this trade. And this is because I got too greedy at the beginning. I, set and forget too much, and I didn't close my take profits as soon as I should have, because I was trying to flip $100 into 10,000 in one trade, thinking that a trade was gonna give me that much profit without scaling in and adding new positions and getting new liquidity. And it was a lesson, right? Blew the account, no big deal. Then I started my second account. So when I approached my second account, which is the one that I took $100 to $2,700, there I realized that I had to learn from the mistakes that I had in my first account that I did. So the first lesson was, do not set and forget too much. Meaning, if you have a take profit with a 2-3x on the account, simply close your trade out there so then you can take another trade, risking the profits that you made on that flip. So if you were to lose that trade, at least you are starting back again at the original balance and you don't have to deposit again. So this was one of my biggest takeaways that I actually ended up using during the whole entire challenge, because I would constantly just risk the profit on the next trade instead of actually risking the whole entire account size, which I'll explain a little bit more on this later in the video. And then secondly, which kind of ties into set and forgetting too much, it's greed, right? So I got pretty greedy because I just wanted to flip it super fast, but I had to realize that that wasn't possible. So then I minimized my goals that I was setting for myself for the week. So my goal was to pretty much double the account every single week. And if I did that every single week, by the end of about 70 to 85 days, I would pretty much be at the $1 million. As crazy as that might sound, because with compound interest, things would scale really, really fast. So now knowing what I did wrong, which was setting and forgetting too much and being too greedy, I simply took away from the account on what I did right. And actually what I did right was take a high probability trade setup. So on the first account that I blew, I actually was up money. So I think I was up about $200, $300. I just didn't close the trade. So the trade reversed and then it hit my stop loss. So I took the same winning strategy that I have and I applied it to the new account on the first trade, because again, the most important thing is taking that first good trade so you can get out of the hole. And as soon as I took the first good trade, I simply just set and forget and I cut my take profit short so I can get the margin and take the next trade. If you want to know more about the solid trades that I take, I give them away for free. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel. I literally give away the trades for free where you can make money and turn $100 to $2,700 just how I did. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button. Like, who doesn't want to turn $100 to $2,700? All you have to do is just subscribe. So this first trade that I would take on this new account is what I like to call a textbook trade. So a textbook trade is literally what it means, a textbook trade. You want to take a trade that is from the textbook. What is something that's from the textbook? It's something that is classic. It's something that has been seen in the market hundreds, thousands of times, where the pattern is pretty much set to repeat itself. Why would you not want to do something that is not set to repeat itself? It doesn't make any sense. And these are the following rules for a textbook trade, and it's what I use for my first trade, where I turned $100 into about $300-400 in my first trade. First things first, you want to make sure you are following the trend. The trend is your friend. If you're not following the trend, you have already started wrong, my friend, and you're setting yourself up for failure. Second thing, after identifying a very strong trend, is you want to be buying at a solid level of support or selling at a solid level of resistance. Third is you want to wait for a confirmation that it is rejecting this level of support or this level of resistance, right? Because you want to make sure that the trend is bouncing off of a support level or resistance level. And the way you do that is by having a confirmation rejection candlestick, also known as the famous entry signal. So there's many different types of entry signals. If you want to know mine, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button because I teach it for free. And the last rule, which is the most important by far, other than the trading signal, is going to be the actual session that you take the trade. If you're trading such a little amount of money, you want to make sure that you're actually taking the trade at a session where it's going to have momentum, meaning the moment you take the trade, it goes right into your direction. You don't want to take a trade outside of session, so you're simply fluctuating in drawdown, which is unnecessary, when you can simply wait for the right session and apply this textbook trade and it go into profit immediately. And those are the 4 key foundations to a textbook trade. This is what I use for my beginner trade that I took on the 100 to the 2700, and pretty much every single trade after that. I can guarantee you that is simply going to give you an edge over the market versus not having anything. For example, just to put it into simple perspective, it's like surfing. Trading is like being a surfer. So when you go to the beach to surf, the first thing that you want to make sure is that there's waves. You want to make sure that the ocean is giving you waves so you can surf. If there's no waves, you can't go surf. It makes no sense. Putting that into the market, you want to make sure the market has a trend. If the market has no trend, you simply can't trade anything. So after you have identified that there's waves at the beach, now you simply want to make sure that your board is waxed. So when you get onto it, you would have grip or whatever. I'm not a surfer, I don't know. Simple analogy, right? So you want to make sure that you have your board so you can stand on when you get on the wave and you don't fall off. Taking this to the market is you want to make sure you have this level of support or resistance, known as the area of interest, so the market can support itself, so it can push up or push down when the price gets to that point. And then going back to the surfing analogy, it's going to be your entry confirmation, your rejection candlestick. That's pretty much going to be the entry. As soon as the wave starts curving, that is your entry point where you get onto the wave right before it takes off. And taking this pretty much to the market, this is your entry confirmation for you to enter the trade right before the trade takes off. And the last one, which is I think the most important, is I don't know if you're trying to surf at night with the sharks. So I think you'd want to surf during the day when there's sun and there's not that many sharks. So it's the same thing in the market. You want to make sure that you're trading at a time when there's more volume versus not. Very simple analogy. Everything I've explained so far is to simply get out of that original starting balance. This is so you can get out of that $100 point, which honestly, it's the hardest point. So you wanna make sure you have the textbook trading rules, and you wanna make sure that you are not greedy and you're not set and forgetting too much. And you want to make sure that you obviously are taking the trade at the right session. This is all cool, right? This is gonna get you from the 100 to about $300-400. But now how do you actually take that into the 2700? Well, that actually leads me to my next point, which is going to be scaling into the account. So this is actually very tricky and it can be very risky, but obviously sometimes things with high risk have a high reward. So scaling into the trade is probably one of the most tricky things because you don't know when to do it or you don't know if it's the right thing to do. And when is it the right thing to do? So when it comes to scaling into a trade, you can only scale into a trade that you're not using your own money. What does that mean? How am I risking something that I'm not using my own money? Let me explain. So the way I scaled with, I think it was $450, where I took it to about $1,200 on the 100 to the mil challenge, is I would risk out of that $400, I would risk $200 on a trade. And as soon as that trade is $200 in profit, not only am I going to risk those $200 in profit, but that confirms to me that my trade is now going in that direction. So you never want to scale into a trade that is in drawdown, because that means the trade is not going in your favor. So why would you put more money into something that is going against what you originally thought? If something is going where you originally thought, then you're going to put more money on it. To keep it as a simple analogy, let's say you're betting on horse races and your horse that you bet on is in first place, and they're gonna let you bet more money on that horse to win. Well, you're gonna wanna do that because if your horse is in first place, you're gonna wanna keep betting more money because he's pretty much gonna be the winner. But let's say you have a race with the horses and the horse that you bet on is in last place, and you're gonna keep betting on him to win, you're destined to lose your money. That makes no sense. So you're gonna only wanna bet more money if they're winning. Well, the market lets you do this. If you're in profit in the trade and the trade's going in your favor, you scale in and you add more positions, confirming once your trade is in profit. So the way you do this is, for example, with the horse races, let's say you have the horse race and the horse is halfway through the race and you bet $200. And you can close your position halfway through the race at $200. Well, you simply close the position there, and as soon as you close it, you get that money and you bet it again into the market. So if the horse for whatever reason loses the race, you're now break even, you don't lose the money. But if you win another $200, which is on free money. So this is exactly what the market lets you do. But instead of you actually closing the trade, since you're using leverage and margin, you're able to actually use that margin from the account that is floating in profit. So you can actually bet another $200. And the way that this is possible is you simply go to your platform where you took the trade and you just take another one. And then I entered the same exact trade with the same exact entry signal during the next session. And that ended up giving us a nice push where now we have the account at $2,700. Now, keep in mind, your entry is gonna be a little bit later than your first one. Same thing how when you bet on the race, your bet is not going to be at the beginning, it's gonna be halfway through the race. So your payout is not going to be the same. Keep that in mind. But obviously in the markets, you can let that run a little bit longer, you can minimize your risk, so on and so forth. The point is, when it comes to scaling in, is that you want to only scale in when you are already in profit. You do not ever want to scale in when you're in drawdown. And this is what a lot of beginner traders make a mistake in, because they think that they can never be wrong. They think that if the trade goes against them, it's giving them a better entry. It's giving them a higher entry. Buddy, that's not how this works. If your trade's going against you, you're wrong. You should not be risking more money on something that you're wrong. You only start risking more money when something starts going in your favor. So to simplify it, the scaling in is simply taking on more positions at a lower risk to reward rate, but it's an actually higher reward overall with a lot less risk, because you're only taking scaled in trades when the position is already confirmed that it is going into your direction. It's pretty simple. And this actually leads me to my next point, which is going to be the take profit, right? Because I would strategically scale into trades only to double the account, either 2 or 3x the account. I would never really ask for more than that, because not only would that be exceeding my weekly take profit, but I would realize that it's gonna mess with my psychology. I'm telling you guys right now, there is no other feeling like flipping an account. You flip an account and you feel like you're a Superman. You feel like you're invincible. You can do anything in the world. Nobody can tell you anything because you have a superpower. You can make a lot of money with no money, and you're pretty much 200, 300 Xing something within the hour, within the day, where hedge funds take 10 years to do that. So it's a very incredible feeling, but it is also a double-edged sword that can be very, very, very tragic to your strategy and to your account. So the way you remove that factor and that side of the sword is by simply having targets to hit. And once you hit them, you are done for the week. This obviously takes a very strong mindset, and it takes a lot of willpower to actually close a position knowing that it has potential to do more. But you have to do that because you have to stay true to yourself and true to your trading plan. So as I'm scaling into these trades and as I'm risking more money on them, I would simply close out as soon as I doubled or tripled the account. As soon as I doubled or tripled the account, I am done for the week. I do not care if there's another amazing opportunity, because even though I might think it's super amazing, my mindset is not fully there. My ego is through the roof. My emotions are high. Like you get this high off the market that there's just nothing that can compare to it. So the easiest way to not let that influence you to either risking more or breaking your rules is by simply cutting yourself out of the market as soon as you doubled or tripled your account. If you break that rule, you're gonna see how that edge of the sword will come back to you. And now that we bring up this 2-3x on the account, I wanna make something extremely clear. This is not something that is sustainable. This is not something that you can do and make a living out of trading. I only recommend to flip accounts when you have had this as your third or fourth account in your actual trading. Meaning you're supposed to have a personal account, then a funded account, then potentially a higher risk account, then a flipping account. This flipping account should never ever be number one on your list. Why? Because it is not something that is sustainable. It is not something that you can live off of. It is not something that you can do week after week, month after month. It can go great for 2-3 weeks and then go terrible for a month, as it did for me. For me, it was great for 2 months. And in 1 week, I blew absolutely everything. So you don't want to have this gambling mindset that you can think that you will be a successful trader consistently having these high risk positions, because it simply will not work. The faster you treat this as a fun account, the faster you will succeed. The faster you don't, the faster you will fail. You need to treat this account as an account that does not matter. It is not a priority. You tap into it whenever you want. It is simply to have fun. If you lose the money, who cares? It's a fun account. If you make money, who cares? It's a fun account. Don't be entitled to the losses or the wins on this account. This is going to be crucial to your longevity, and it will factor in greatly into your personal account, your funded account, and your low to medium risk account. If you treat this one as the last one with no respect, as you should, it should not affect your other 3 accounts. Keep that in mind, because this is going to be your longevity in the markets where you don't want your psychology to go out the window over $100 account. And this mindset is what I teach my students every single week once we get on a call every single Sunday, where I give them my top 2 and top 3 pairs that I trade for the week. My students were actually parts of the $100 to the $1 million challenge, and they actually saw every single trade that I caught, and they were catching them as well. These trades that I give to my students every single week lets them make anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a week as a beginner set and forget trader. And if it's your first time hearing set and forget, don't worry about it. I can understand if you don't understand it. So I left the video for you guys in the link below, where it explains to you exactly what set and forget means and how it lets traders make anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a week as a beginner set and forget strategy. And this is the exact same strategy that I use to turn $100 into $300,000 in under 2 months. And I didn't do it alone. I did it with all of my students inside of the Discord, where they get on a call with me every single week. So if you want to know more about the set and forget strategy, make sure you click the link in the description below, where that video explains absolutely everything what we're about. And if you do, I'll see you inside.